Formula One is back in full swing. After a thrilling opening race in Bahrain, the drivers and the teams now head to Jeddah in the west coast of Saudi Arabia for the second race of the season. Here are the top 5 things to watch for at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Let's get started. Can McLaren find pace? McLaren stood out at the Bahrain Grand Prix for the wrong reasons. They were shockingly slow, finishing P14 and P15. The team had gotten off to a great start at the initial preseason test in Barcelona, but started to lose form upon arriving in Bahrain. Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo had no answers for their lack of pace, both simply stating that they had a long way to go to improve their performance. It'll be interesting to see if McLaren can find pace and score points in Jeddah. What's going on at Haas? Contrary to McLaren, Haas stood out for the right reasons in Bahrain. They scored a remarkable P5 and P11 finish and seemed to be miles ahead of where they were last year. This result was totally unexpected considering that the team had recently lost its sponsor and had a lot of problems with the car at the initial test at Barcelona. Kevin Magnussen was in great form in just his second week back in Formula One. Schumacher suffered a spin in the initial laps, which hampered his performance. Heading into Jeddah, it'll be interesting to see if Haas can continue the momentum with another points finish. Can Ferrari continue to dominate? Ferrari seems to be the team to beat in 2022. They continued their momentum from testing with a 1-2 finish at the Bahrain Grand Prix. It was really nice to see the prancing horse back at the top. By the talk around the paddock, it seems that Ferrari were not at their best in Bahrain. Carlos Sainz admitted post-race that it was one of the toughest weekends for him in his Formula One career, even after finishing in P2. Red Bull seemed to be their main rival, and a battle between Leclerc and Verstappen is something we can look for this season. If Red Bull has a reliable car, can Ferrari repeat their 1-2 performance in Jeddah? This is something definitely to watch for. Who's in the midfield? After the first race in Bahrain, it is unclear which teams are in the midfield. As mentioned earlier, it appears that Ferrari and Red Bull have separated themselves, but who is behind them? Mercedes, who were dominant last year, seem to be struggling for pace and have issues with their car porpoising. After the Bahrain Grand Prix, George Russell seemed to be more concerned about the teams that finished behind them than worrying about the teams ahead. He said, "We weren't that much quicker than the midfield, and that was probably more of our concern than the guys ahead. We knew that we would be a long way behind Red Bull and Ferrari, but we equally saw how quick Haas were, how quick Alfa Romeo were. McLaren didn't have points. They had a really difficult weekend here, but in Barcelona they look strong, so we have got a lot of work to do." Heading into Jeddah, there are many things to watch for in the midfield. Will McLaren rebound back into the points? Will Alfa Romeo continue to have a strong car? What about Aston Martin? They struggled in Bahrain but had made large investments to improve their car in the off-season. Can they come back into the points? How about AlphaTauri and Alpine? It looks like they could be potentially in the mix for points as well. It'll be really exciting to see how the midfield battle goes in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Closer racing. Watching the race in Bahrain, it was very clear that the 2022 cars could follow each other much better compared to last year. We saw some great racing up and down the field, highlighted by the battle for the lead between Leclerc and Verstappen. Going into the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, it'll be fun to watch as the drivers stretch their legs and race each other around the demanding and fast street circuit. There are 3 DRS zones which should create good opportunities for overtaking. Fans can look forward to a great race where the finishing order is determined by the racecraft of the driver and a great midfield battle. Now I'd like to hear from you. Who do you think will win the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like this video and consider subscribing to the channel for more great Formula One content. If you'd like to support this channel, check the links in the description below.